Hey everyone, welcome back. Welcome to the world's first Void Flood level cap run. This run was actually streamed on Twitch, and keep in mind, due to my upload schedule, this video is going live much later than the original run. We reached level 9,999 on Void Flood back on May 9th, 2022, or over 6 days ago. The VOD is still available on my Twitch channel for 60 days since that day if you want to check it out. I'll be leaving a link to it down in the description. The run took 80 ruptures for 1 hour, 18 minutes, and 26 seconds. Anyways, after clearing that up, all I can say about Void Flood is wow. It is probably the most fun I've ever had in Warframe in such a long time. It reminds me of Warframe's Venom, but without any of the glaring issues that event had. Shout out to my mutuals, Depths, Zeke, and Roadblock for joining me on this journey where we spent the better part of an entire stream failing to finally get the run done. Go check them out, they're awesome fellow Warframe streamers and creators. Let me tell you a few things. It is much easier to get Vitoplast solo, because the missions scale to party size, meaning you need less Vitoplast to max out ruptures in solo, and thus the Vitoplast spawns are much easier to manage. As a downside, solo runs are pain, and survival becomes rather difficult towards cap if you're prioritizing speeding through it, as enemies become very problematic while you're hunting Vitoplasts. You also only have 1 minute to kill the spawn Thrax Centurions at the end of later waves, which is a big DPS check, both for weapons and amps. In contrast, squad runs are much more chill. However, a very prominent issue arises around the 30 to 40 rupture mark. There are not enough Vitoplast spawns, and the respawn timer is not short enough, nor can you get enough Vitoplast from killing elite units to sustain optimal speedrun pace when playing Void Flood in squads. TLDR, you rush through ruptures faster than the game can spawn Vitoplasts, meaning you will fail the mission due to the Void complications bar maxing out and the 1 minute timer running down and forcing you to extract. For this reason, while I normally run Void Flood on random frames because I enjoy the parkour elements, if you're looking to get to level cap in a squad run, I would strongly recommend Titania to keep the stress down and worry less about being shot at, because you will need at least one dedicated Vitoplast collector on your team. At about the 50 rupture mark in a squad run, you're forced into maintenance mode, which we coined the timer game. Whenever you reach maxed void complications on the bar at the top left, a 1 minute timer starts before the mission ends and you have to extract if you cannot close the rupture in time. Closing a rupture only reduces the bar by 30%, and because Vitoplast spawns slower than the bar rises, you will eventually reach a point where you always have 2 to 3 void complications. While these effects are random at a certain point in the run, the second and third complications will stop randomizing, you will always get the same ones. If you get Rupture Decay as a permanent effect, well, your run is dead. It is impossible to make it past round 40 to 50 without debuff because rounds 50 plus require you to delay maxing the rupture to survive, which also gives more time for the rupture bar to decay with that debuff. At ruptures 50 plus, you do not want to close the ruptures until you have enough spare Vitoplast collected to fill a significant portion of the next one. Vitoplast spawns are independent of rupture countdown timers, and will continue to spawn more in the nearby area if you intentionally delay closing the rupture. This is extremely important because you need a surplus of Vitoplast to account for bad spawns, people downing, Skittlegirl stealing, and just general failing to find Vitoplast hidden spawns. I say hidden spawns because there's a cap to how much Vitoplast can exist on the map at once. If you do not see any in the immediate tile of the rupture, check the connector tiles. There are usually 1 or 2 Vitoplast clusters in the hallways while you're waiting for the room to reset the Vitoplast spawn timer. That's another thing. Vitoplasts have a spawn duration. If you take too long to collect them, they will also disappear, and that's bad. This also means if you grab them all before their duration ends and a spawn reset is about to occur as well, then you can get double Vitoplast from a room. This is extremely rare though, so don't depend on it. Just make sure to actively hunt down Vitoplast and grab any you find. Vitoplast on the ground spawned from defeated enemies seem to last a lot longer than the floating Vitoplast though. If your ball sack is fully charged, it will glow and you won't be able to grab any more Vitoplast, so go insert some into the rupture before going back to collecting. Also, you really don't want to down in this game mode if you're the Vitoplast collector or be tagged by Skittlegirl. If you down, you lose all your Vitoplast, but only drop 50% of it for anyone else to pick up. Because we already don't have enough Vitoplast to start with and have to play the timer game at ruptures 50 plus, you can easily fail the mission by having someone that has a full ball sack charge go down and lose 50% of their charges. Skittlegirl will also steal all your Vitoplast if she tags you, and she only gives 50% back when you kill her, so keep the Vitoplast collector people away from her. She has a habit of TPing closer to you if you get too far away, so Vitoplast collectors should avoid spawning her on themselves in general from staying away too long. But this doesn't mean you shouldn't stray away. Every new area spawns 3 ruptures in succession over a wave. Each time you're in a new area, a large Vitoplast globe will spawn in an adjacent tile that you can see on the map. This is extremely important to grab as a Vitoplast collector, as it counts for about 5 small particles or more. Since it spawns every 3 ruptures, this means across the run of 80 rounds, this is worth an additional at least 135 small particles and has a massive role in ensuring you have a Vitoplast surplus in the later rounds in case things go south. Just make sure to grab this orb fast, without triggering Skittlegirl. This is also why we recommend Titania for the Vitoplast collector role, and was the role I played. We actually had 2 Titanias on the team, Depths and I. Zeke and Roadblock were the DPS clear on Sarin Toxin Lash builds that focus on reducing ad spawns, which would also drop more Vitoplast and also burst DPSing down the Thraxan terrain, since Depths and I were solely responsible for gathering the majority of Vitoplast spawns and maintaining Rupture sealing progress. On our final run, the 2 collector roles developed a bit further, with Depths being the primary Vitoplast depositor to fill the Rupture and me being the backup, banking Vitoplast on myself in case problems arise. Safety, so to speak. I would always be at least 75% full on my Vitoplast globe before I would insert any at all into the Rupture. This also meant I absolutely could not afford to be downed or tagged by Skittlegirl, but this allowed us to cover for some tighter rounds where things didn't go as planned. I did end up downing once in the run, but luckily it was earlier when Vitoplast economy wasn't in shambles. Essentially, I had become a Vitoplast main. Anyways, that covers essentially everything we discovered about Void Flood while we were attempting this run, so how about some build talk? I don't have the Zariman build Roadblock used, but unless you're going to cap, you probably don't need them. But I trust anyone that runs caps knows how to build a weapon platform Zariman. All strength and duration. If you want an idea of that Zariman, it would be similar concept to my concealed explosives endurance Zariman video, except the helmet would be whatever you want. For most, the Titania build for general flood play will probably serve well enough. This is what I ran, courtesy of Roadblock. You can consume either her 2 or 3 off, but I used a base Titania without helmet. Prime sure-footed is mostly redundant here with Spellbind, but we had a spare slot and I slapped it on for if I forgot to cast it. We have Narrow-Minded and Prime Continuity for even longer lasting Spellbind and Razorwing Blitz stacks. I would recommend only casting 1 stack of Blitz, or maybe 2 if you need to zoom around to other tiles. Otherwise, it's too fast and difficult to control. The little bit of strength helps with some early pistol DPS too, especially if you're facing Corpus, which you can kill if you mod Pure Toxin. Natural Talent helps a lot with Razorwing stacks and feels a million times better. Hold down your 1 to cast on yourself Spellbind, or be near the floor and tap 1 while aiming at it. Prime Flow is also mostly redundant since the efficiency is high enough you will generate more energy than you burn with Energize. Actually, because we're relying on energy orbs and I'm focused on grabbing Vitoplast, I also opted for Arcane Eruption, which gives a 30-meter radial knockdown whenever you pick up an energy orb, with no cooldowns. It helps a lot with survivability and will proc even when you're in Razorwing. Synth Reflex is here because there will be times you want to be out of Razorwing, namely if you need to help your team killing Thraxes towards the cap. Epitaph spam to prime quickly, and I brought a Phenmor to DPS, which you can charge up the Incarnon bar, transform it, and pocket it for a rainy day. Synth Reflex will give you that quick swap speed you need to effectively DPS before getting downed. Stay in Razorwing as much as you can. Your smaller size, fast movement, and innate evasion stat in her 4 make you much harder to hit, and thus much less likely to die. Essentially, so long as you never stop moving in her 4, you should not die, and thus you don't even really need shield gate. It is impossible to health tank at level cap, which is why we're skipping Aviator and Aerodynamic. Also, because you are unlikely to get hit to start with, so at lower levels, tanking isn't a problem. We still have Brief Respite, but it will only regenerate partial shields on this build. You will need one other teammate to also have Brief Respite for your Spellbind to regenerate all your shields. Alternatively though, if you drop Prime Sure-Footed and Prime Flow, for Augur Message and Augur Reach, the 4 Augur mods, including the 2 on your Epitaph, with your own Brief Respite will give enough shields back even on solo for full shield gate regen. Rolling guard to get status effects off you, which will be pretty important if you end up with permanent heat, electric, or cold enemy weapon effects on your void complications and you don't have Spellbind up. Their weapons will have force procs, which can easily kill you due to their lasting effects. The Phenmor I was bringing is a generic slash build. You can drop the Bane for heavy caliber since you won't be getting kills with Phenmor as Titania except when fighting Thrax, which means you also can't build the weapon arcane stacks. Thrax do not belong to any faction and thus no Bane mods work against them. Essentially, you want to stack up the Incarnon bar with headshots against trash mobs early in the mission, transform it into Incarnon, and just pocket it for when you need it. Your main weapon equipped should be the Epitaph to prime Thrax when you come out of Razorwing. This is a 2 Augur Epitaph with heat instead of radiation. This is because I sacrificed a mod slot to run Primed Fulmination because I value the wider AoE CC in a level cap run when literally anything can kill you. The Ignite status effect still serves as an effective, longer lasting CC than Electric, hence why I picked it instead. We still get Viral to buff our damage, Blast to reduce enemy accuracy, Force Cold Procs to slow enemies, Anthrax, though this also slows their animation to their ghost form, and IPS on direct hits to help our Giga Chad DPS teammates like the Sarans on our team. The melee is mostly irrelevant, but I took Praedos for the parkour boost. You can take a generic build like this if you really want for slash DPS and endurance that should be able to kill any enemy. Use the appropriate primed Bane though. Panzer is still useful at the very least for the enemy radar. You could also take a Sentinel if you want to bring a DPS pistol and throw the Augur mods on the Burst Laser weapon family instead, which are the only pistol Sentinel weapons in the game. Honestly, bring whatever you want here, as the pet is not present while you're in Razorwing as a Vitoplast collector, but for DPS roles or anything non-Titania, definitely bring a Panzer because the infinite lives from Devolution will really help, as well as Health Gate with the 30 seconds cooldown gained through Martyr Symbiosis and Tech Assault to negate lethal hits against your cat 60% of the time, which includes Martyr procs letting it go back to back. Finally, viral kills can also help the DPS role spread more viral, while also getting a million pet assists to regenerate energy with Equilibrium Synergy triggering off of all the health Orb Synth Deconstruct and Synth Fiber will make. My imp, I chose whatever. This is a 777 Klamora Pro Tip. It just works. There are many options, but generally you want something crit focused. If you want extra punch to res more easily with less gas, bring Megas Melt instead of Megas Lockdown. Megas Elevate will help you deal with chip damage so you don't sit on uber low HP later on if you get the Health Drain Void complication effect. My focus school, I actually chose Madurai to help burst down the Thrax Centurion ghost forms. It worked extremely well and can even kill them at level cap in about a second or so. Just make sure that at least one other person in your team is running Vazarin for the faster revive perks, and if you're using Klamora, aim above the heads to get headshots. We actually had Depths and Vazarin in me on Madurai, so that will probably work well for you too if you have 2 Titanias on the team. Anyways, that was the team comp and how we ran the world's first Void Flood level cap 6 days ago. It was an absolute blast and Void Flood was honestly becoming my favorite new game mode, whether casual parkour or sweating it out to cap with Titania, and being a Vitoplast main. There's something for everyone in this mode. Operator play, max DPS ad clear, Vitoplast speedy collecting, and limited resource management on later rounds that focuses more on mechanics and skill sets and not just your build. But it doesn't even take an hour and 20 minutes to complete. Currently, the second fastest game mode to hit level 9,999 in the game. I love how the newer game modes scale much faster. Good job, DE. Please check out my mutuals, Depths, Roadblock, and Zeke, who came on our run. I've left their details down in the description and pinned comments. Cheers! If this is your first time watching, feel free to leave a like, or better yet, subscribe. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. 79.5% of you are not subscribed. I'm trying my best to get you new information out always as soon as possible. Like I've done with covering the new Angels of Zariman updates. Stick around if you want to see interesting memes and builds on a nearly daily basis. Don't want to miss out on any of that, do you? And that'll be it for this video. Thank you all for watching, and see you all next time.